It's my great pleasure to have an interview with you. At first, welcome to Chongqing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's my great pleasure to visit Chongqing for the first time.
Really, the first time?
I am deeply impressed by magnificent development of Chongqing city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now you mentioned that Chongqing should play an important role in promoting the deeper cooperation between Asia and Europe.
Yes.
So Chongqing has a node city of the One Belt and Road initiative. So how do you think about that?
I highly commend and applaud the initiative of President Xi Jinping and the Chinese government to initiate a Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. Along the line of BRI, many countries will benefit for mutual cooperation and development, particularly when this Belt and Road reaches out through Southeast Asia, on land and on ocean, Middle East and Europe and African countries. This will promote global common development. This is in line with what President Xi Jinping famously stated, we are living in a community with a shared future, shared destiny. So in that regard, I highly commend such a vision and initiative of President Xi Jinping, BRI. Now, Chongqing is also a very important place where BRI is now being initiated. This is a node city of BRI here.
Yeah.
It has a direct line to Europe, particularly freight rail lines across Europe. And it is a mega city, which is now being developed into a smart
City?
Infrastructure powerhouse and smart city. And I sincerely hope that there will be much more great development in this Chongqing city.
Okay. And we all know that this year marks the 70th anniversary of the founding ceremony of the People's Republic of China. So which role and what role do you think that China should play in today's international affairs?
The Chinese people and government have celebrated 70th anniversary with a great sense of pride.
Yeah.
I applaud such a phenomenal development which has been made during last 70 years, particularly during last 40 years when China announced open up their country 40 years ago. China has been an example of how this reform policy and open up to open global economy can benefit one country. And the lessons and experience acquired by Chinese people, I hope it should be shared with many countries around the world, particularly those developing countries. China is one of the biggest donor countries. Even though China still is one of the developing states, China has been providing a huge amount of development assistance to particularly Africa and other developing countries. When it comes to Africa, the CAF, China African Forum, provides at least $60 billion for 3 years to all African states. This is the largest donor country, and I applaud for such a great initiative.
What impact do you think that the Sino-US trade war will put on the two countries' relations?
China has become second largest global economic power, only next to United States. And then these two global economic powers should have harmonious and mutually beneficial relationship not only in trade, but in all other areas, peace and security and trade, and addressing climate change, and also promoting implementation of sustainable development goals. It is unfortunate that China and the United States have been engaging in this trade friction. No country has won now. Look at this, dismal record of trade between the two countries. Two countries can really prosper much more by having more mutually beneficial trade relationship. I'm encouraged that the negotiations are still going on, and all the indications are coming from both the United States and Chinese leadership that this negotiation is close to be finalized. I am urging that two countries, based on the global vision for mutual cooperation and prosperity, should address this issue as soon as possible, so that the global economy can benefit from such a huge potential power of both the United States and Asia.
There's a recent UN report stating that countries in the world are still not doing enough in bringing down greenhouse gas emissions. It said that cuts have to be faster and deeper. In fact, I think it said that emissions have to drop by 7.6% per year, 2020 till 2030. Realistically, in your opinion, is this possible?
If we work together, we can make it happen. That means that we have to work together with a strong commitment. A good example, I believe, is China. China has been a leading champion in not only in the negotiation process until a Paris Climate Agreement, but after this agreement was adopted, China has been showing a great stride and commitment. For example, while China is #1 greenhouse gas emitting country in the world, now it has shown a great effort. By 2018, 2 years ago, China has cut at least 45.8% of greenhouse gas emissions compared with that of 2005. That is quite phenomenal. Now, I hope that China will continue to lead this campaign by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. While I'm happy to work with China, I am deeply concerned about the policy of U.S. government, who President Trump has announced to withdraw from Paris Climate Change Agreement. Climate change is a global challenge. It requires global solution. There is no country in this world who can address this one alone. Now, the IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, has warned in October 2018 that unless we contain the global temperature rise below 1.5 degrees Celsius, we'll have no hope. But there will be increasing sea level rise, and this Earth will get more and more temperature. Therefore, I ask whole world's leaders to work together with the United Nations to make sure that the climate crisis is addressed properly here.
In your speech just now, you mentioned about multilateralism. So this think tank actually aims to improve the multilateral cooperation and also global sustainable development, which you're calling out for. So can I just get your opinion in terms of how do you view the significance of setting such a global dialogue platform?
Multilateralism has been the basic guiding framework in addressing many global challenges, particularly since the end of the Second World War. I'm deeply concerned that there is the tendency that the multilateralism is now being under attack by several countries, particularly those big countries who have been benefited most by the multilateralism. Multilateralism should be the guide in addressing global peace, development, and human rights, and many other issues. Therefore, I'm urging the world leaders to return to global multilateralism. Unilateralism, protectionism will not make any sense to this current global challenges. I'm very much encouraged to see this Asia-Europe cooperation dialogue is now being held in Chongqing, this global city where people have been working very closely with the United Nations, with not only with the Chinese government. And I sincerely hope that all the people of the world are united to work together to address all global challenges: climate, sustainable development, human rights, refugees and migrants. And all these needs to be guided by the multilateral efforts.
Chongqing have in promoting the Asia-Europe cooperation?
Asia-Europe are two biggest and most important continents in this world. In terms of population, it takes for 65%. In terms of global GDP, it takes more than 60%. So it is only natural that Asia and Europe share their experience, their resources, and their vision. It's very important. In that regard, the second Asia-Europe cooperation dialogue being held in Chongqing has a great meaning. Chongqing is one of the biggest cities in China. And in terms of a domestic endeavor, this Chongqing is the center for developing the West. In terms of a global vision, Chongqing is also a very good place to start and to begin the connection with the European continent. It has a direct rail freight line across to Europe, and it has many important smart manufacturing industries here. The main vision of this Chongqing is a smart city and smart infrastructure powerhouse. In that regard, we cannot find any better place than Chongqing to have this Asia-European cooperation. Likewise, as a chairman of the Boao Forum for Asia, I have been speaking out that the Boao Forum for Asia should not only be limited to Asian continent. We should go beyond Asia. So it means that we have to expand our cooperative relationship in addressing multilateralism, in promoting multilateralism, and also addressing this unilateralism and protectionism. There are many ways this big city can offer, not only to Chinese people, but also to the people of Asia and Europe.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.